for a beer one night. That was pretty much the gist of it. We went out for a beer to 5 West for an open jam because the two of us like to play music and we don't get to hang out very often.
Yeah.
So Rich called and said, hey, why don't we go do this? I said, sure, why not? And we got up and just played what we play. And at that point, the bar kind of asked us to take over. And we thought it was just kind of had a few drinks. This sounds a lot more enjoyable than what was being played. I don't think Rich and I thought much of it at first, but we went back the next week, did it again. And lo and behold, they were like, no, we need to get this in place. Give us some time. And we said, okay. And yeah, that's kind of how it all went is, they finally booked us and said, oh, we need you to start on this day. And we just ripped up Cloke Bowker. That's my recollection of it.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much it. And the stars just aligned that night when we went out and had a couple beers. And I think the crowd that night too was younger. It was like a younger mix to middle-aged group of music lovers. And when Matt and I got up and started playing some more modern pop, more modern rock, some classic rock, heads started to turn and people started ordering more drinks and sticking around for a little bit longer than they usually would have on a Thursday night. So that's how the conversation kind of got started with Matt and I. Hey, do you guys want to keep coming out and maybe we can talk about starting this open jam with you guys, hosting it and taking over? And it just kind of grown to where it is now. I mean, it's only been really 2 months, and it's, I can't even put to words like how amazing it's been. Matt and I are trying to figure out different ways of advertising and getting the word out and to get more artists to come out and to get more people to come out. And 5 West is helping with the push as well, offering different drink specials. I know Thursdays they're
mini pitchers.
They're mini pitchers, which is like 2 beers for the price of one, which is amazing. And because their craft beer kicks ass. I love that stuff. And it's nice to see everybody else drinking the same things, minus, cider lovers. But yeah. Who puts ice in their beer?
No one, hopefully. My second question is more kind of about your music, because I know both of you are musicians outside of the open mic. And I kind of want to know how you got into music, what started it for you.
Oh, no. I started the last question. It's on you, son.
Oh, see, I'm trying to be polite. This is like the polite Canadian in me coming out.
Oh, what? There's people around, so you're going to be polite?
Yeah, exactly. I half expected that to be a beer. I was like a letdown. It's like soda.
Not on Monday.
PC Club soda.
No. Hey. I told you I'm on the getting ready for the Headstone show diet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Please talk about that after when you get to answer the question.
Oh yeah, no, I got started in music. I got my first little wooden guitar when I was 2 years old from my grandfather, and he gave me it. And there's home videos of me just strumming it, sounding terrible, staring at a wall, pretending it was the sun singing Mr. Sunshine. And Fred Penner was introduced to me at a very young age, and I idolized that dude. And that guy's still kicking. I played a fair last year, and Fred Penner was there. And it was this is cool. But then when I was in grade, I said when I was in grade 6, I came home from school one day. My buddies and I were like, oh man, we should start a band like Nirvana. I was like, I don't like Nirvana, but that sounds like a lot of fun. I want to play guitar. So I came home and I asked my mom. I was like, Mom, I want to play the guitar. I want to be in a band. And she's like, okay. I didn't think she took me seriously. But then later that week I came home and my dad handed me a guitar pick and I didn't know what it was. I'm I thought it was a tiddlywink or something like that. And he's like, I know. And yeah, this is a true story. It's a true story. And I thought it was a tiddlywink. And he's like, no, son, no, go to your room. And I'm like, why am I going to my room for? I didn't do nothing wrong. But then on the bed was my was my acoustic guitar. And it's actually sitting over there. The first guitar I ever got. I still have it. And it was an Ibanez 6-string acoustic. And I just started taking lessons and started learning how to write songs and just like met different musician friends over the last few years throughout grade school. And then in high school, I joined a couple bands, and I played in a band called Article 19. And that band was through high school and university. And then when I graduated university, when the band broke up, I started just kind of learning how to write songs with me singing and like coming up with vocal melodies because I couldn't find a singer. And I met my buddy Flavio Monopoly, who's out in LA right now. And he's like, dude, do it yourself. He's like, don't rely on a band. He's like, there's so much drama with a band, man. Like, just figure out how to do it yourself. I'll help you. I'll coach you. It's like, take some vocal lessons, learn how to sing. We'll write some songs. We'll record the songs. We'll put it out, and I'll help you along the way. And so we spent a couple years writing a few songs, learning how to become a singer, and how to like market yourself in the music business. And I've been doing that the last 5 years now, and just been playing, writing, going back and forth from Nashville, learning the business. And now I'm just getting ready to record new music. Yeah. Matt.
Am I supposed to speak now?
Yep.
Yes.
Wow, how did I get involved? Well, I've always had music around me. I've just grown up listening to, everything from records to tapes to CDs. Always loved music. And it was one day, kind of like Rich came home one day, said, Mom and Dad, I want a guitar. And they went, or actually I came home and said, Mom and Dad, I want to be a drummer. And they just laughed and said, no. And I said, okay. I said, so a couple of days later, I'm like, I want a guitar. And they're like, yeah, we're not so sure. It's complicated. So I'm fine. Can I have a bass? Lo and behold, they bought me a bass. And it was a piece of garbage. But they bought me a crappy amp and a crappy bass. And I spent 6 months in the basement playing it. And after 6 months, they came to me and said, okay, we have to get lessons. And it was years later, I talked to them. I said, what was with all that? And they said, for 6 months, you would get up in the morning, play it. You would go to school, you would come home, you would play it. And they said, you never put this thing down. And then they said, you sounded like garbage. Because I didn't know what I was literally reading a book, teaching myself music. Like just learning myself and trying to figure out what a fifth was, right? Because if there's no one there to explain what a fifth is, you have to understand all this terminology. And so they sent me for lessons. And from there, I kept going with the bass. And then a buddy was selling a guitar, which is torn to pieces in my crawl space. So I picked up a guitar and started teaching myself that. And I picked up drums to the chagrin of my parents and started teaching myself that. And I remember the first band I was ever in was a band called Hexus out of Burlington. And I was just jamming with 2 other guys in the music room after school because I was cool. Some guy walks by and we were playing For Whom the Bell Tolls by Metallica. And I was playing the bass line. Do, 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 do. I'm playing that. As I come out, he's waiting outside the music room. He goes, we need a bass player for our band. We need you. And I went, okay. I didn't know how to be in a band. But we got out and Hexus played. And I had a blast with those guys. It was, some of the greatest times because it was fresh. It was raw. There was no understanding of when Rich talks about having a game plan in place. Yeah, we had a game plan. Play a show. That was the extent of our game plan. Like, we didn't have choreography. We didn't do anything. We just got up there, long hair, and thrashed out to hard metal. And then from there, I formed a band called Anodyne with my buddy Gord and my buddy Cormac. And they had a band, and their bass player left, so I joined in, and then I got fed up with where it was going. I said, guys, I'm leaving. And they're like, not without me, us, you're not. And we formed Anodyne, which I got thrown out of.
Nice.
Yeah. I've talked to Gord at length about it. And really what it comes down to at the time is I didn't want to perfect my craft. I wanted to be a rock star. So I got up on stage, I would forget, and I started out as a lead guitar player and then moved over to bass, but I would forget rhythmic patterns for songs. Like, I just wanted to be on stage being a rock star. So I didn't put the effort into the craft. And of course, when they let go of me, they brought someone else in, and the band started going somewhere because everyone in the band was putting their time and effort into their craft. And then after that, I've played with a few other bands, nothing that's really mentionable or lasted long. And then about 5 years ago, I said to my wife, I said, I want to get back into music. I always had my stuff set up, and I'd write songs all the time. And I wanted to get back into it. And I went online, saw an ad for a post for a bass player for a punk band. I'm not a punk guy. But I thought, whatever, it's something, jump in the pool and get your feet wet kind of thing. So I applied. They wanted me to come out that night. And I'm like, no. And so I started chatting with the guys, and we got some practices lined up. And as the story goes, now that we look back at it, is after practice 1, they were like, that's our guy. But they made me try 2 more times. And this is what we now know as the Castor Troys. But at that time, there was a different drummer and there was a second guitar player. And when I walked in, myself, Chris, and Aaron, the singer and the guitar player, we just kind of got along. It just all made sense with us. So eventually we let the guitar player go, and then we let the drummer go, and we brought in Bryson. And all of a sudden you had this 4-piece unit that made sense. And so we recorded the first album, Come Hell or High Water. That was a labor of love. And if you listen to it, you can hear the fact that it was all our ideas being put in. We didn't have a producer. Our engineer just worked the board, didn't give input. But we didn't stop. We were playing Club Absinthe almost once a month, if not more, all the time. For anybody, like Planet Smashers came through, we got the opening slot. Hanson Brothers, we got the opening slot. Like any decent band that was touring, we got an opening spot. But we weren't drawing fans. Mm-hmm. So eventually, the bar had to say, okay, we got to try other people, which was great by us. And we've never stopped. And then we went, for the next album, we decided to grab a producer. And that's where the album that's being launched November 9th, Legends Never Die, we had help with that. And we were able to get all the ideas that we had the first album. Someone actually showed us how to do those things, like big booming gang vocals. Yeah. I thought we just did it like 4 times and it'd be good. No, you do it like 50 times and you get people to readjust in front. Yeah. Like, these are things I didn't know. And so we started down that road. We applied to Rock Search this year, and we blasted all the way through to the final 4 and came in 2nd place.
Yeah, I heard.
That's awesome.
Actually, yeah. Mackenzie was telling me, and I was like, "Oh my god, that's so cool!" Because I never even knew about that. But yeah, that's pretty awesome. Yeah,
it was really cool, and it was, the band that won, they had a unique sound. So the judges, really, what I heard in the back room is they didn't know what to do. And they thought the unique sound, they'll go with that. It was nice. I was told by a DJ that there wasn't a band that performed that was better on stage than us. So whether we won or not, the amount of love and support I got from guys like Rich, from the festival I was at, and we'll remain nameless right now, like all friends and family came out for the love and support of what we were doing, which was great. So coming in 2nd doesn't really matter to me. I came in 1st in better ways.
Yeah.
And then, of course, with doing that, we got a couple of bigger gigs at we played a winery, which was amazing. And literally the Headstones show, this story is just amazing. So we have this new album coming out. It sounds phenomenal. Like that, it's just great. Headstones are coming through, and a friend of mine, his name's Mike Maybe, buys tickets to the show and turns around and makes a post online to the Headstones themselves and say, you have to have this band open for you. And we went, what is this? And he didn't ask any of us. He just went ahead and did it. Okay. And so his post kind of started getting traction. So we threw one out saying, hey, what do you guys think about this? Well, ours got a ton of traction. So we reached out to Hugh Dillon, the singer, and said, hey, man, we've got this great new album coming out. You're coming through town. We would love to open for you. We've asked numerous times. And he went, great, no problem. Contact this person. It's done. And that was the extent of the story. And now we've just been, getting all the details about what we have to do backstage, when we have to show up, sound, who's our roadies for that, like weird stuff.
Kind of a fun question for you. If you could, or if you had to, play one album over for the rest of your life, you couldn't listen to anything else, just this one album, what album would it be?
Listen?
Yeah.
See, this is the okay. So even though, and this always blows people's minds, are like, why are you doing country music, dude? It's like, I do country because just like, that's what I grew up. I didn't grow up listening to it. I was introduced to it later in life. But when I started writing and singing, just like where it all fell, and the storytelling in a country song is very like, it's very black and white most of the time, and I like that. And like I like the story aspect of it, not the metaphorical stuff. And like the rock world that I grew up on listening to. But my favorite band of all time is 9 Inch Nails.
Okay.
Favorite band ever.
Not expecting that.
I know. People are like, what? Like, I don't understand. And like I've seen these guys like 13 times now, and every time I think it's getting better and better. My favorite record from them is a record called The Downward Spiral, and I could listen to that record over and over and over again.
Yeah, that's a real big tough one for me. An album I could listen to front to back for the rest of my life. Right off the bat, comes to mind is Number of the Beast by Iron Maiden. As everyone who knows me knows, I am a huge Iron Maiden, Steve Harris fan. Without question, that album you can go front to back without skipping a beat. And I mean, even when they had Tameland, which was put on the very first release and actually pulled on any re-releases. Other than that, there's only one other album that I can think of that I could put on and listen to front to back, and it's just a greatest hits album, and it's Robbie Williams' The Ego Has Landed.
What about you, Tess?
Oh, no. I just kind of like to ask the question. I don't actually have an answer. Just kidding. Probably, I was looking it up to make sure because I felt like someone was going to ask me. Little Hell by City and Colour is probably like my favorite. I love it.
Nice.
I would also probably say Metallica was, for the longest time, one of my favorite bands, but don't really listen to them too much anymore. But I like the Black Album. All right, so I have one more question for both of you, and then you can ask me whatever you want. If you were to speak with any upcoming artists and musicians that are just starting out, what advice would you give them for, I guess, how to succeed in the music industry, or things to keep in mind when being in the music industry as an artist or a musician?
Right off the bat, the one thing I always say is always be polite and respectful for anyone who does anything for you. Mm-hmm. Whether it's a jerk promoter at a club, don't give them attitude, don't get all mad at them, because sometimes we've done that. I'm not pointing at me. But do that and take your craft seriously. Like, don't just get out and think you know what you're doing. Ask questions, go out, look at other artists. I mean, my big thing for bands nowadays that I talk to them about is your stage performance. I see a lot of acts that get up on stage and they stand there and play their instruments. They're amazing. But sometimes you want to give them a show. So work on your show. You don't have to build big elaborate stage sets like we have, and light boxes and you know the amount of choreography that we do. But take your craft seriously. Realize that if I want to come watch someone just play, I'm probably going to go to a blues bar and just watch that. Like, give a show, figure out how to make it something more than just great music. So that's my advice to upcoming artists, and just stay positive, keep plugging through, but give a show.
Okay, I like that.
Nice. My advice would be love what you do. I was just playing it over my head. Love what you do. Work your ass off, or be ready to work your ass off to make something happen. Surround yourself with good people who believe in you. Don't chase people. Let them find you. And most important, enjoy the small victories. That was advice that was given to me when I first started. So, Rich, enjoy the small victories. We obviously all know what the end game is and what you're looking to achieve, but enjoy every small victory. Whether it's one radio station adds your song, someone does an interview with you like this, for example. You know what I mean? Enjoy those moments. Or else you just become very, very jaded very, very quickly. And you feel when you get lost and it happens to me too. Usually I do like a year in review at the end of each year, like in December. And I'll have these conversations too with people and be like, you beat yourself up and you're like, you know what? Like, why isn't anything going right? Why does everything feel like it's going wrong? And you have to take a step back for a minute and be like, okay, wait a sec. What have I done in the last little while? Okay, wow, I played this many shows this summer. Oh, wow, I went to Nashville. Oh, wow, I wrote this many songs. Oh, wow, I met 5 new people that I didn't know last year. Like, each one of those things is a step in the right direction to achieving your goal. So enjoy those small victories, appreciate them, cherish them, don't forget about them.
Awesome.